Would you pay upwards of £300 to eat sushi, but you must finish the sushi and leave the restaurant within 20 minutes? Would you pay that money? Now, the topic on screen is how simplicity helps you charge more, how it helps you to command a more premium price, and how it makes you the obvious choice in a series or sea of noise when it comes to advertising and marketing. Now, it says here it's a note on Jaro Ono. He is one of my favorite founders. And the story of Jaro is he owns a sushi restaurant in Japan, Tokyo. And this restaurant can be found in the basement of a subway station. But what makes Jara's story so impressive, so interesting, let me just close this window. What makes it so interesting is that Jara, this is no longer the case because I believe Michelin Star took away the stars that Jara had for his restaurant. But from 2007 to I believe 2019, I believe, Jara restaurant was a 3-star restaurant, 3 Michelin star restaurant, and it's in the basement of a subway station. Within the establishment, they have 10 seats, so the capacity to reserve reservations for a lot of people isn't an option because it can only hold 10 people. The menu is only sushi. They only serve sushi. There's nothing else on the menu. So you can't have appetizers, there's no starters, there's no desserts or other types of food. Just sushi. And I believe the exact number is 20. They give you 20 sushi made with the most minimal of ingredients. I believe it's just the rice, the fish, and a dab of soya sauce. So it's completely minimal. And what always baffles people's brains when they turn up at Suki Yabashi is that they don't understand how something so simple can have such rich taste. But what makes that sushi so good is the work that Jaro has put into honing his craft. This man has been making sushi for over 50 years, more than 50 years. And he's literally just stripped back everything and focused on one thing, which is to make the best sushi out there. And that is the point of, or the argument I'm trying to make here. A lot of the times you see businesses trying to do so many things and then they're not good at any of those things because their attention, their efforts is stretched trying to juggle all of these things. And when you think of entropy, which is chaos or disorder in a system, you know that with everything, when you make a system complicated, it just means that there's going to be more entropy. It means there's going to be more things for you to maintain, and it's going to take more effort. And that means the possibility of more things breaking or not working are going to be higher. So when you hone your focus on doing one thing and doing it well, it means you can be known for that one thing and then you can charge more. There's a reason why Gyro can charge upwards of £300, and it's even more now because that when I checked that was like 2 years ago. It can be even more now, when you consider inflation and all of these things. For 20 minutes just to eat sushi, what other restaurants that offers sushi could do that? So this is my point, that when you focus on just doing one thing and doing it well, as Charlie Munger says, take a simple idea and take it seriously. And just doubling down, and no matter what people say, it's just focusing on that one thing. What that does, it creates what we call cognitive ease, or it makes the potential customer not think because they know, okay, I fancy sushi. Jaro's Suki Yabashi only does sushi, so I'm not gonna have to bust my brain. Think of when you go into a restaurant that you've never visited before. They hand you a menu, and there are literally over 100 things on that menu. What does your brain does? It's literally screaming out. But picture a place where, for example, only does pizza or only does sushi, as suki yabashi as we're talking about. And for example, let's say they only do pizza and they only do three flavors. You can pick from that three flavors, and although the options is cramped, or there's constraints in the options, it's better for us in terms of decision making, because I'm sure you've had those episodes in your life where you have too many options, and in a sense you just decide not to actually do anything. You stay the same. And as humans, human nature, we will revert to the status quo, which is to do nothing if we're confused. And as they say, a confused mind always say no. So that is why, as you can see on screen where I said the obvious brand, which is the name of my agency, which is to always stalk clarity, meaning always go for simplicity, always try to get to the root core of what you're trying to say. Kill confusion, because in the brain don't want to think. So when your messaging is confusing, when it isn't concrete, when there's too many options, you don't become the obvious choice, because they're having to compare and decide, okay, is this the right one for me? But if you say, okay, for example, if you're a dental practice and you say, I'm not going to do veneers, Invisalign, composite bonding, all of these things. I'm just going to stick to one service. I'm only going to be the practice that does composite bonding. When somebody is looking for a non-invasive type treatment, they are going to be looking for the practice that signals that, and it's the business that shows or demonstrate a high goal value, meaning a signal that shows that the outcome that the patient or the customer is looking for is exactly what you offer to them. Then you give the brain ease, which is what our brain wants. It wants cognitive ease. It don't want to think, because that's how we make decisions. If you think about all the decisions we make on a day-to-day basis, it's very habitual. We don't tend to think. A lot of it is on autopilot. So when we bring together complex messaging in our advertising or our marketing, all that does is just slows the brain down, and then the brain has to think. And when the brain has to think and it doesn't quite get what you're trying to say, it then gets confused, and then it doesn't make a decision. And you want people to see your brand and say, yes, this is for me. You know, like how somebody would see Apple and they know like an iPhone is the immediate option. They don't have to choose. Or somebody who wants a what do you call it, like a fizzy drink, like, and the categories is different. So you have Coca-Cola, you have Fanta, you have people are just gonna go for Coca-Cola because they are the leaders in that category, and they don't have to think. And one thing I'm gonna end on before I go on to the next slide is this: people are not looking for the best option. The great thought leader Herbert Simon came up with this concept of satisficing, where he says people are not looking for the optimal choice. They're looking for something that's good enough, something that in their head is not going to take their money and then ending up being a bad purchase or a bad decision. Because if you think about it, as he states in this concept, people have limited brain capacity in terms of having to process things. People also have limited time, and also there's just too much information out there for somebody to sit and then go through. So people want things that's good enough. They don't want the perfect thing or the best thing. So the more you can highlight and demonstrate why your offer, your solution can be the answer to the problem that they're trying to solve, the better. And you can only do that by simplifying and clarifying your message and making what you offer concrete. And avoid using sort of vague abstract language that doesn't speak to moments, because life happens in moments. It doesn't happen in these abstract speak that you see nowadays on social media, which is clearly written by AI. So that's the importance of simplicity. Now, when there's a documentary with Jara Honor, I can't remember the name of the documentary. I think it's called The Dreams of Jaro, something like that. It's a brilliant documentary, and I think anyone with a business should watch it. It's a beautiful take on the importance of mastering one thing and just becoming so good at that one thing that you're known for it, and it goes back to this thought of when you're known for one thing, you've mastered it, you can charge a premium price. And so in the documentary, Jara says this is how he's positioned his restaurant, like who is it for, and it's important to state who you're serving and who it isn't for, so then people know, hey, this is for me. So he says it's comfortable for people who like to have sushi served at a fast pace, but for people who want to drink and eat slowly while chatting, it will not be a comfortable eating experience. So there you go. Straight away, you know exactly who it's for. If you're somebody who appreciate good sushi, but you're also somebody that values your time, and you're not exactly wanting to be in a restaurant sat eating, then absolutely this is your place. But if you're somebody that wants to sit down and joke around and with your friends, it won't be a comfortable eating experience. And this is how you stand out, and you're different from the market, by bringing constraints in your business. Having constraints within your business in terms of who you serve and who you don't serve is a beautiful thing. That is why people who buy Bugattis, Bugatti interviews them as to, hey, why should you buy our car? It's not a thing of them saying, oh, this is open to everyone. It's only a selected few. There's so many requirements that is needed to purchase a Bugatti. And if you're not a certain caliber or a car collector, then you can't buy their car. And that makes people want it more because it's not readily available. So that's just human nature. And as you can see here, it's Jaro here. Let me use the mouse. Can you see him? That's him there. And this is actually his son. His son owns another branch of Sukiyabashi it's another province in Japan. I'm not quite sure. I think it's Roppongi or something like that it's called. And then this, I believe this was back in 2014. So this is a old photo. And as you can see, that's Barack Obama and the Prime Minister of Japan at the time, Shinzo Abe. I hope I'm saying it right. Shinzo Abe. If I'm not, I apologize. So yeah, and as you can see, there's 10 seats. There's no restroom, by the way. There's no restroom. So if you want to use a restroom, you better go to the public facilities in the subway station. And literally 10 seats. And look how minimal the aesthetic is. There's not much going on because Jaro is very big on simplicity. And that is the core message that I'm trying to get through to people here. Use the rule of one. I'm not saying you can't offer multiple products, but that's when you are established and you have the systems in place, and by adding more, it means what you already have going on won't break. So that's the beauty of starting. All these big enterprises that you see, Amazon, Nike, Virgin, they all started with one thing. The founder of Nike was selling trainers or selling these running shoes out the back of his car, until they gained traction, and then they obviously dispersed and started offering more products. But nobody at the start starts off by selling multiple things, because then you're spread thin. And as I said, entropy comes into play, and then you can't actually focus on what actually moves the needle because you're spread thin. And that's how you become overwhelmed. And as a business owner, you can't scale your business, and you can't come out of the business and work on the business rather than in the business, because you're constantly bombarded, and when you're serving too many customer profiles, too many customer avatars, or too many different types of people, you're always reactive compared to if you were just serving one type of customer. You know exactly what that person is going to want. And people might differ, but the outcome is the same. Whereas if for example, going back to like a dental practice, if you're trying to do veneers, composite bonding, whitening, Invisalign, those are 4 different archetypes of customers, and it means those people are going to want different results, different things. They have different experiences, and it just makes your marketing and your advertising mumbled and jumbled, and that's what causes confusion, because people are inherently selfish. So when they are looking for a solution, if somebody wants Invisalign, they don't care about composite bonding. If they're looking for veneers, they don't care about composite bonding or Invisalign. They want that one thing, and that's what they're focused on. So that's the importance of making whatever you're doing focus and not scattered, because the brain doesn't like confusion. And as I said, a confused mind will always say no. So again, always stalk clarity, always seek clarity. Kill confusion, kill the cognitive strain that's in your message, and then you will become the obvious choice. Now, if you are a dental practice owner who is currently running ads, specifically meta ads, and you are not quite seeing the results you want in terms of booked appointments, if your show up rate is low, then there's potentially nothing wrong with what you're offering. What might be the issue is the messaging and how you're presenting your offer or the information that you're conveying to the potential patients, and quite often that is the case. So if you want me to take a look at your ads and do an audit, I'll do so and share my findings, and obviously give you insights that can help you to garner more attention and get commitment from people who actually want to pay for high value treatments. My email address is in the link below. You can also see my Instagram handle as well to reach out, and let's start the conversation. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.